In this WrestleTalk news, Becky Lynch has no friends backstage. The latest on Stephanie McMahon stepping down from WWE. Things are only going to get worse for Sasha Banks and Naomi, and more. Subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
Back in early 2018, Becky Lynch was just, like a lot of people, a body on the roster with no real direction. WWE attempted to turn her heel in the summer, but it just made us fans cheer her more, accidentally turning her into the biggest babyface on the roster, which was only furthered when Nia Jax busted her face wide open in the lead up to Survivor Series, removing Lynch from the card and turning her into the man that would go on to main event WrestleMania and win both the Raw and SmackDown Women's Championships. Lynch returned to WWE last summer with a new heel turn and has been one of the most consistently brilliant things in WWE since. However, maybe that's just a fan perspective, as according to one former WWE star, she isn't well liked backstage. The former Nia Jax, now going by her real name Lena Fanene, recently did a Q&A on Instagram, where a fan asked, presumably because of the angle leading into Survivor Series 2018, are you and Becky in a good friendship or not? To which Jax responded, lol, I don't think she has a good friendship with anyone, laughing face emoji. Fanene caught some heat earlier this year, comparing the situation in the Ukraine to the mask mandate in the US during the pandemic, which caused a lot of her former colleagues to unfollow her on social media. However, she has also claimed that she gets calls daily on how everyone is miserable in WWE. One person that we do know that Lynch has a fractured friendship with is Charlotte Flair. The two were part of WWE's version of the Four Horsewomen in NXT, and they have a long-standing rivalry on the main roster. However, the angle on SmackDown last year with them switching over the Raw and Women's SmackDown Championships saw Flair go off script and drop the belt on the floor, so Becky had to pick it up, which didn't go down very well with Lynch. Flair explained on Ariel Helwani's show that competition breeds competition, and I think we just got older and not necessarily that success doesn't get to your head, and that's why you lose a friendship. However, that's about the only story we've heard. As Creature Lives points out on Twitter, many folks who've been released from WWE over the last few years have said that Lynch is one of the first people to call them, including recently released former producer Road Dogg. What do you make of Nia Jax's comments? Do you think that Becky Lynch is unliked backstage? Let me know in the comments down below. And after announcing that she'd be taking a leave of absence from WWE, is there more to the story of Stephanie McMahon? Last Thursday, Stephanie McMahon announced that she was taking a leave of absence from the majority of her responsibilities from WWE to focus on her family, and that she looks forward to making her return. It was later reported by Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics that Nick Khan will be taking over her responsibilities, and WWE did expect Stephanie to be coming back. Sean Rossap over at Fightful Select reported that the news did come as a surprise to many in the company, but it wasn't a decision made overnight, as it's been brewing for some time. WWE sources did tell them, though, that this was nothing to do with marital issues, which has been speculated online. Now, really, this is where the story ends. There's been no new information reported since Thursday, just what Stephanie said in her statement was correct. She is taking some time off from the company and will spend that with her family. However, there are more succession-minded folk out there who can connect some pins together with a bit of string and find out a bigger story. For example, it was reported a few years ago that Stephanie was no longer involved in the creative process for WWE, something she'd been heavily involved in for many years. And it was revealed earlier this year that most of her team were part of WWE's cuts late last year, as WWE merged together the branding and marketing departments. She's also had a lot to deal with personally, with her husband Triple H having his cardiac event last year. Brandon Thurston also noted on WrestleNomics Radio that her announcement was done after the USA and Fox upfronts for advertisers and half an hour after the New York Stock Exchange closed, which is probably not coincidental. And, of course, there's the whole Nick Khan thing. But it's also things like Wade Keller on PW Torch saying on his daily podcast, I've been told not to expect the reasons that Stephanie is stepping away to come out, but the implication is there are reasons. He added, whatever is going on, it sounds like it's just very private, and I've not been given any indications what that is. It could have to do with Vince McMahon, or Shane McMahon, or Triple H. Dave Shearer, a PW insider, similarly said, I have heard a lot of stories, and frankly, until we can confirm them, I'm not going to speculate. All I will say is I do believe there is a lot more to it than we know right now. So yeah, as of right now, there isn't a story here. But as Shearer points out, there could be more to it than we know, and quite frankly, it might be something that we'll never know. What we do know, however, is that there is more to the Sasha Banks and Naomi saga. It was just 1 week ago that Sasha Banks and Naomi walked out on a taping of Monday Night Raw, where the pair were given creative that they didn't agree with. If you did miss the last week of news, the plan was for a 6-pack challenge with Banks, Naomi, Doudrop, Nikki ASH, Becky Lynch, and Asuka that would see Naomi win and go on to face Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell for the Raw Women's Championship. It was then reported that Sasha would go on to face Ronda Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship on the same show. However, the pair felt that this did nothing for them as the Women's Tag Team Champions, and they were reportedly told that they were just being used to get the singles champions over. And so, they dropped their belts on Johnny Ace's table and walked out. WWE released a statement on the matter during the broadcast of Monday Night Raw and announced on last Friday's SmackDown that the pair had been suspended indefinitely, with all of their merchandise removed from WWEshop.com, reportedly so they wouldn't make any money off their merch while being suspended. WWE have also taken down their official Facebook pages and removed them from the intro bumper that opens the shows, replacing Sasha Banks with Cody Rhodes and Naomi with Ronda Rousey. Naomi herself has removed all references to WWE from her Twitter bio. And yet, there is still more to this story. The very reliable WrestleVotes tweeted over the weekend, after talking to a few people, I gather this Sasha-Naomi situation is going to get worse before it gets any better. While the majority of the support online is in their favor, it's quite the opposite with management. This backs up what Angela and I were talking about on the WrestleTalk podcast last Friday. We've seen a lot of support for Sasha and Naomi online, with several of their colleagues tweeting supportive statements or pictures of them, with Snoop Dogg also seemingly showing his support for his cousin Sasha Banks on Instagram, but there were reports from the likes of Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 that this support was not felt backstage. Most likely, a lot of Brian's information was coming from upper management who were annoyed at Sasha Banks and Naomi walking out during a show. Meanwhile, Sean Ross Sapp was reporting over at Fightful that contrary to other reports, we've spoken to numerous talent in and out of WWE that have been supportive of Naomi and Sasha Banks' stats and the duo in general. He did also add, however, that the much larger population lies in the not being happy with creative is fine, walking out is fine, but walking out during the show isn't fine camp. And it would seem this disgruntlement towards WWE was not developed overnight. Dave Meltzer has said via Wrestling Observer Radio that Banks has been seemingly upset with WWE for a while, noting that she was told that it would be her versus Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania for months. However, once WWE learned that Ronda Rousey was prepared to return to the company, Banks was bumped down to the Women's Tag Team Championship scene. Meltzer adds they gave her the tag belt as kinda like a concession because she got moved down. There are conflicting reports about the status and length of both Banks and Naomi's contracts. Meltzer reported last week that Naomi was in the process of negotiating a new deal with WWE, and WWE themselves confirmed with Sean Ross Sapp that Banks and Naomi have not been released. Someone who could be on their way back to WWE, however, is The Rock, and not just in my version of Monday Night Raw on our MyGM series over on Parts Unknown. Yeah, that's right, I signed The Rock recently. I am still losing quite badly, but hey, I've got The Rock, so, you know, there's always The Rock. Back in the real world, however, Brian Alvarez noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that The Rock, despite being a very busy man, currently has 0 movie commitments for the first quarter of 2023, which would allow him to work WrestleMania. And if you've ever kept a close eye on The Rock's IMDb page, him not having any active movie commitments for any period of time is really weird. Dave Meltzer had reported back in March that The Rock vs. Roman Reigns was the current working idea for WrestleMania 39, which ties into his previous report about the confusion over the Money in the Bank stipulation, where Cody Rhodes said in a video promo that the winner would main event WrestleMania. Meltzer noted in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that this didn't seem likely, as Vince had decided on his Mania main event and neither of those people would be involved in Money in the Bank. And as much as I would love to see The Rock in a Money in the Bank ladder match, doesn't seem that likely, does it? And lastly, I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who checked out our return episode of CBW over on Parts Unknown. If you've not seen the first series or have no idea what I'm talking about, it's our weekly D&D style role-playing game series where we take on the roles of wrestlers in a fictional 90s company called City British Wrestling. After a 2-year hiatus, this series is back and is looking better than ever, with new cast addition Rosie Nichols as Canadian import maple syrup. It's a lot of fun and we're super proud of it. We've had amazing feedback to the first episode and its very dramatic conclusion. And you can hear Adam Blompier, Laurie Blake, and Head of Creative Tom break it all down on an exclusive Patreon Backstage podcast. So go and check that video out over on Parts Unknown right now. Or why not stay here and check out Adam's latest list video.
Ex-WWE stars returning to wrestling. It's another week, another video talking about WWE releases. This time it's actually positive, as it was revealed that 2 former WWE stars who were released last year will be making their returns to wrestling. Both Nia Jax and Lana were let go from WWE in 2021 after a heated feud featuring Nia Jax repeatedly putting Lana through the commentary table like literally every week.